All right, historians. So my first step, if I want to evaluate the author's claim, is to identify what the author's claim is. And I'm going to do that by reading and coding for signal words for claims. These could be opinion words, argumentative phrases. So I'm looking for those things before I can move to my next step. The case for economic literacy is a strong one. Okay, so right away I know that the author obviously is in favor of learning about economics. George Stigler, a Nobel laureate in economics, probably stated it best almost 3 decades ago when he wrote, "The public has chosen to speak and vote on economic problems. So the only open question is how intelligently it speaks and votes." In Stigler's view, economic literacy is special because it contributes to 2 classes of knowledge: a means of communication and a skill set that shouldn't be reserved for experts. Okay, so in this bottom sentence here, I really see the author be specific about why people should learn economics. He says it's for 2 reasons, and those 2 reasons are: 1, it's a way of communicating, and 2, it shouldn't just be something for experts. So now I'm ready to start step 2, which is to search for the author's reasoning, because that's how I can determine whether or not it's sound. I'm looking for things like data, or statistics, or logical thinking that makes sense. If I see the author using just a personal experience, or maybe an example from one person in the world, that's not that strong of evidence and reasoning, and so it might not be that sound of an argument. All right. Economic literacy certainly contributes to the first class of knowledge. Okay, so I'm just going to draw a note that he's talking about the first argument about it being communication. People like to think and talk about the economic issues that affect them as consumers, workers, producers, investors, citizens, and in other roles they assume over a lifetime. Economic literacy also gives people the tools for understanding their economic world and how to interpret events that will either directly or indirectly affect them. Okay, so I'm going to code this sentence because here's where I see the author really giving me a statement about how economics helps everyday citizens. It helps them understand events that are happening in the world. Nations benefit from having an economically literate population because it improves the public's ability to comprehend and evaluate critical issues. Here I see the author using a because statement, so that's kind of a clue to me as a reader that he's explaining. And so he's saying another reason that it helps people is because it's going to improve how well everyday citizens can make decisions on big things happening in the world. This understanding is especially important in democracies that rely on the active support and involvement of its citizens. So lastly, I see the author saying that if you're going to have a democracy where people are voting, then they have to be informed on these things. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to make really great decisions. So, because I have 3 different pieces of evidence, I am going to finish this statement at the bottom by saying that the author's claim that economics is a form of communication, I'm going to say that this is sound. And my reason why is because they provide logical reasoning about the need to be an informed citizen. And that is relevant to the claim because you cannot communicate as a citizen with your government if you are not informed on economic issues.